devices turned off first and foremost. If you're like me, it never rings except for when it shouldn't ring. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Brenda Scher. Our speaker today is a volunteer. The best way to thank them is to provide honest and useful feedback. I will be going around and handing out our feedback forms, and I know Christine will greatly appreciate it. Our session is hybrid, meaning we've got folks here in the meeting room as well as virtual. So we want to respect both sides of the audience. Our tech master will drop into chat anything towards the end of the Zoom section. And if you miss anything, don't worry, an email will go out at the conclusion. Okay, again, keep yourself muted, whether you're here or virtual. And at this point, I'd like to introduce Christine Brady, who's a DTM IPDD, has served in almost every club officer role and every district leadership role. Christine is a member of 4 clubs, doesn't know when to quit, evidently. In 2 districts, she doesn't even know how to quit in 1 district. She keeps moving around. Has visited countless clubs. There are some key success factors of great clubs that Christine has identified. When Christine isn't at Toastmaster meetings, she works as a contracts manager for Iteris, a national transportation analytics firm headquartered in Santa Ana. She is also currently co-creator of Currently Obsessed, and she's supposed to give me an invitation one day. Hasn't happened yet, a podcast about everything, because everything is accessible. She also enjoys rowing, I don't know why, running, I don't know why, and playing ukulele. Please, everybody, give a warm welcome to Miss Christine Brady.
Thank you, Brenda, for that warm welcome. Good morning, Founders District here in the sanctuary at the church and also online. Hello, I see my online friends there. Hi, Dan. Hi, David. Hi, Bob. Well, club quality. You'll see on my slide that I say class is now in session, and I'm going to explain to you why I'm saying class is in session. Did you know that June 30th is like the Toastmasters New Year? June 30th, it's the opportunity. Open up a bottle of champagne, stay up late or not, and yell Happy New Year, because July 1 starts our new program year. Now, it is the start of a new program year, but I always think of Toastmasters a little bit like school. So to me, July is the start of a new school year. So that's why class is in session. I don't know about you, and as Brenda mentioned, I do like to obsess about things, but I'm obsessed with notebooks. So any opportunity to buy a brand new notebook with brand new clean pages in it is always welcome. That is one thing July offers the opportunity for, a brand new notebook. You could have new notebooks for just the whole, like all of your Toastmasters activities. I've also had years where I've done a notebook for each club, just so I can keep a running tally on every club. So think of this year, July 1, think of that as the start of your brand new notebook. What do we do with a new year? Right? Let's see, we want to go to, oh, thank you. We're talking about that new year, right? So that's resolutions. Or we can also think of that as applying lessons learned. So what are some things that we want to do to improve our club? Think of a new year as new opportunities. We have so many new opportunities open to us. And now that we're in this either hybrid or in-person environment, we can start applying some of the lessons we learned from when we were online only to how we can transfer that over to this new environment. And then also just remember, this is a clean slate. This is the chance to wipe it clean and just start again. Now, I would like you here in the audience and even on Zoom to give me a few ideas of where your club needs to improve. What are some things that we need to improve? Just yell it out. Membership. Membership is the #1 thing that was shouted here in the room. What are some other things though?
Involvement in leadership roles.
Okay, involvement in leadership roles. How many of you right now are taking advantage of the fact that we have to get our officer lists in by June 30th? How many of you in your clubs, as you're asking, who wants to be a leader in this club? How many of you have people running to the front of the room and knocking things over because they want to be the first one to apply for president? Right? No one. It's always somebody standing there. Come on, you guys. We really need people to fill these roles. And Lace is coming up. We need to get them filled so that we can, get trained in our new role. So leadership, that's one thing. That's a really good one. All right, well, let's go to our next slide. Is it this one? Thank you. Just so you know, I have an assistant here. I have Stephen Dredge. He's our Division C Director-elect, and he's helping me here with the technology in, it's not advancing on, it's advancing there.
Oh, really?
Yep. We have a technical difficulty. Hang on. It's advancing on the computer, but not in the room.
Something new for you to be obsessed about.
Something, yeah, we're gonna obsess about this for a second.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, they have the printouts. Okay, perfect. I'm gonna keep going. We'll work on this and see what happens. All right, so again, we're in school, right? The Distinguished Club Program. Are we all familiar with the Distinguished Club Program? Perfect. I'm getting a lot of nods. Yes. I'm not sure if our Zoom room, I know some people here are probably very familiar. That Distinguished Club Program, or the DCP, that's your class syllabus, right? That's how you're going to get there. And what does the DCP measure? It's going to measure 4 things, right? It measures education. Yes, but membership. Remember, we talked about membership. Membership, biggest problem right now for a lot of our clubs. It measures training, which we're all here doing today, unless you're super excited about the workshops, in which case you'll do makeup training like I will. And then administration, that's the paying the dues on time. That's your syllabus. So what can we do if we're sitting down with our brand new notebook and we have our syllabus? What can we do on some of those blank pages? We can write our roadmap for how we're going to get there, right? How are you going to get the A in those 4 areas? We're in school, right? Overachiever over here in school. Remember, 4 clubs, 2 districts, served in all the roles. All right, so what are some ways that we can really get there, right? Because I want to really talk about the how. So one way is, all right. I have that word bubble, right? There's a word bubble, and I'm not sure if it shows up very well in print, but what I was thinking of when I created the word bubble was all of the aspects of a club meeting and maybe some fun things that would happen as well. So I have contests in there. All of the aspects of the club meeting need to be covered, right? How many of you are in a low member club? I know I am. I have clubs that are low membership. It's hard to fill all the roles, right? Without having people double up or having a meeting where everybody has a role and there's no one just as an audience member, right? So those are some things we have to think about, that we have all of these ways to create a really high quality meeting and a fun meeting in order to make our club very attractive to other people coming in. So all of these elements give us opportunities to improve our club. So as you're looking at that word bubble, and if you start identifying things that your club needs to work on, it might be you need to train your odd counters and grammarians to not get so caught up, right? How many of you get caught up in the story and forget? Me. I can't tell you how many times I've had to apologize. I'm so sorry. I forgot to count the ahs and ums because everybody was telling such funny stories during table topics. That's me. That is me in a nutshell, all the time. Oh yes, with timers. My husband just joined Toastmasters and I'm training him. And of course, we know one of the things that you can do with a new member is have them serve in those functionary roles, right? And as timer, he leaned over to me one time and said, I forgot to show the lights. I was so caught up in the story this person was telling. And I said, do not think that that's an original problem that you created. We've all done it. It's okay. We'll just report it later. All right, but so we have all these elements that we can work on, right? But what really makes that quality club? So I'm calling the elements of a quality club. These are your keys to success. So you want to match your syllabus, right, with the elements that make up a quality club. And this is basically your study guide, right? The teacher hands you the syllabus and says, this is what we're going to do. And then you as the student have to take that syllabus and decide how you're going to get there. How am I going to get to that A? So here are your keys to success. We're going to talk about some of these. The first thing is fun, right? I mean, that's just bottom line. If you're in my club, that's what I want the bottom line to be, that the first thing is fun. Because who wants to come to a meeting that isn't fun? Right? Does anyone? No, then it just feels like drudgery, kind of dread going. Now, I want you to know that community clubs or open clubs are not the only ones that can have fun. You can be in a very formal corporate club and you can still have fun. You absolutely can, right? It just might look a little different. It might not be rowdy, but you can still be having a good time. The other element of a really quality club is making sure that you're meeting the needs of the members. And you have to gauge this every year. So July 1, this is a great time to send out a survey to all your members and ask, what are they hoping to accomplish over the next year? This could be something that the VPE can handle, and the VPE can take a look and say, oh, I see that Brenda is really hoping to finish a whole path. And she's telling me she hasn't even started it yet. So I know I have to plug her in to the agenda a lot as a speaker. Maybe David Hosmer needs to finish his DTM project and he wants to plan some events for the club. So I need to make sure that we give him the opportunity to do that. Maybe Ken calls me and says, you know what? I've been working so hard for 3 years. This year, I just want to have fun. So if you need me to fill a role, I will, but I'm not really focused on anything else. So do you see those differences? Do you see how there's people that have specific goals they're working on, and then there's people that are just there maybe for the social aspect? There's always people in your club who are working towards a specific goal, and then there's people that are there because they like the club environment, they like the people, they like the community. How do you meet the needs for all of those different kinds of people? That's how you're going to frame out your year. You have to make sure that you're hitting those points. So you have to make sure for those people that are there for the social time that you think, well, I better open up that Zoom room a few minutes early, and we better make sure that somebody can stay on after so we can have that chat time. Or if we're in person, let's make sure that we get there early so that we have time to discuss things.
Hey, Christine, could I ask a question?
Yes.
So community and achievement are not at opposite ends of a spectrum. They're two different spectrums where somebody wants a lot of community or a little community, and somebody wants a lot of achievement or a little achievement, right?
Right. Yep. So now we're asking people within, when you're looking at the goals for each member and you see that there's all of these opposites, how does one club meet the needs of everybody? You may not meet them fully, but as long as you're trying to get there, the members will recognize that you are doing the best that you can in order to be both a social club and then a highly driven club for those high achievers. The other thing is just you want to make sure that you have that welcoming environment. You have to create that environment that calms the nerves of the guest or the newer member. So many times I hear from people, I drove to a Toastmasters meeting, I parked in the parking lot, I watched people go in and I drove away. They couldn't even come in. They might have done that a few times before they gathered the courage to come in. So we have to make sure that we're welcoming people who are guests or members, that they feel comfortable, right? Even in the Zoom room, people come into the Zoom room. How many of you have had a guest and they won't turn their camera on? And as the tech master, you're thinking they're either terrified or they're naked. They're gonna Zoom bomb us and you're waiting. And really, they're just scared. They don't want to turn their camera on because they don't want to be acknowledged, right? They still are taking the attitude of, I want to sit in the back. Who did Charlotte talk about earlier in her keynote? The wall hugger. Who is hugging the wall? That is the equivalent. If somebody won't turn their camera on, you have a 50-50 chance that they're terrified or they're a Zoom bomber, okay? The other thing is you need to have well-planned meetings. This is just crucial. This is putting your best foot forward every single meeting, not just for your open house, not just for when your area director is coming. This is having a well-planned agenda every time. I'm guilty of being in a club that doesn't have a well-planned agenda every time. We only have 7 members, so we're having some trouble, but we're trying. We feel like our little core group, we're pretty enthusiastic and strong. We do get people visiting us quite often, but it is crucial for us, even as a 7-member club, to try to have all those roles filled in order to have a successful meeting, because that's attractive to your members and your guests, right? Even if you are a member in a club, how annoying is it to show up and think, okay, I had a really rough day today. And then you show up and someone says, oh, can you be the table topics master? And you're thinking, I just wanted to be here and not have to work so hard, right? That's the hard part. So, think about having those well-planned meetings. Also, you want to recognize achievements at your meetings. This is very important. It's great to recognize achievements both in the club and also if anyone had some kind of special moment at work that they attribute to Toastmasters. So for Pastime Pursuits, one of my clubs, I like to do that right in the beginning, because that tells our guests who show up that we are applying our skills outside of the club as well. It's really important. And then of course, there's that sense of community, letting the members know that you appreciate them and you miss them when they aren't there. Some of my clubs, we have members that show up for a couple weeks in a row and then they disappear. And so making sure that, I reach out to them on LinkedIn and say, hey, are you going to come to the next meeting? We kind of miss having you around. And then sure enough, they pop in. Just have somebody recognize that they weren't there. Now, how many of you do some of those things? I'd say a lot of us do some of those things, right? How many of you have a spark of inspiration to maybe add one of those things to your meeting? Did you write it on a blank page in your notebook? Because then you can track it. Then you can say, I did these things. All right, let's talk about who's responsible, because I feel like some of us think, I'm not responsible, right? So is it the president? The president leads the club, right? So is it the president? Are they responsible for making sure you have a quality club? Is it the VPPR? They're responsible for getting the guests in the door. Is it only their responsibility to have a quality club? VP of membership? They're supposed to seal the deal, right? They seal the deal. Is it them? Actually, who is it? Those of you that have the slides in your hand, you know who it is. Yell it. It's everyone. It's everybody in the club. Everyone. Everybody. Okay, but we can talk about how we specifically get there with the different roles. So we have that club president, right? The club president is responsible for setting the tone of the meeting. Right? You open the meeting with a smile. Hello, how is everybody? So good to see all of you. Be genuinely happy to see somebody. I'm in a club in District 100. It's for past district trio members. That club, this last program year, our club president, Greg Scott, was so good. We would have 40 people on the meeting. And as people entered the Zoom room, hi, Christine Brady, it's great to see you. And if he didn't get a chance to say it because maybe I logged in a little late, he would send a chat. He wanted to make sure that he said hello to every single person that came in. So that is what I'm talking about with setting the tone and being really welcoming. You want, as the president, to encourage everybody. It's your job to be the great encourager and mentor for everyone in your club. Encourage people to sign up for roles. Encourage people to be working their education program. Encourage people to bring a guest. You're encouraging all the time. In the background, as president, you are setting the goals for the new program year, right? You are checking in with your officers and you're encouraging the officers to make sure that they're fulfilling their role. Do they need help? Are there touch points that they need some assistance with? And then for club business, again, making sure that as president, you're highlighting member achievement and you're recognizing that success outside the meeting. That is very important. All right, let's talk about the VP of Education. Again, in the meeting as it's starting, make sure you're welcoming all members and guests. In the background, one of the things that the VPE should be doing to make sure that we're having a very high quality club is to process all path completions or level completions in a timely manner, right? Make sure that those get processed. Again, we talked about polling the members. Make sure you're polling the members to make sure you're meeting the goals of the members. Reporting achievements to the president. So in pastime pursuits, my club VPE, Shatanya, right before the meeting that day, I'm emailing him, Shatanya, were there any education goals I need to be aware of before the meeting starts? Just so that we have a seamless section of the meeting, because we really only have a few minutes, maybe 2 or 3. I want to make sure that I'm not sitting there asking him to look it up while we're on the meeting. And then for club business, the VPE should be encouraging the members to sign up early and often, right? You want to set that meeting agenda and fill all the roles and then report on the DCP progress. So many times when I reach out to Shatanya and I ask him, you know, what are some of the things that we've done? He'll not only tell me, oh, somebody finished, you know, this path or this level, so we need to make sure we acknowledge them. But then he might say, hey, we reached 6 DCP goals today. I'll be like, oh, let's report on that and celebrate. Our VP of Public Relations and Membership, I feel like they really work hand in hand, right? These two are tied together because again, one brings the people in, the other one grabs the pen and seals the deal with that membership application. You must make sure as VP of PR and membership to make sure that you're introducing the guest who comes in. So if you're in a hybrid situation, make sure that and you're in person, make sure you're introducing the guest to the president so that the president can welcome them as they start the meeting. The VP of membership, make sure that you follow up with guests, answer any questions. And here's the #1 tip I've learned from Roz Carter. She was a previous region advisor for our district. Do not ask a guest to visit again. Ask a guest to join your club. There's a very subtle little seed that you can plant in somebody's head. If you repeatedly ask a guest to just visit, they will always think of themselves as a visitor. You want them to think of the club as something that they join. So offer that to them immediately, that they join. Please join our club. even if you just say, please join our meeting again, because maybe they're cuckoo and you just want to make sure maybe that you don't sign them up right away, still use that word join. I think that using the word join is just going to reinforce that they're not always a visitor. And then let's not forget our treasurer and secretary and sergeant at arms. Of course, the sergeant at arms handles the room setup, again, welcoming all guests, and they're making sure the meeting starts on time. As the immediate past district director, I cannot tell you how many times I show up to a Toastmasters meeting and I'm like, you guys, it's 6:30 and 10 seconds. This meeting starts at 6:30, what are we doing? Right? Like, I always think part of the program is learning to work the agenda and staying on time, because people might have something else they have to do, especially if you have a lunchtime meeting. People can come in for that meeting and they have to get out on time so they can go back to work or go back to whatever else they had to get to. For the treasurer, please make sure that you're processing dues renewal on time, but also process new members in a timely manner, because that is how they get into pathways and they can start looking at the program. Do not make them feel like they have to wait a long time. I'm not saying you have to do it within 5 seconds of them handing in their application, but you really need to think about, it needs to be done before the next meeting. So if you meet weekly, that is within that week. If you meet monthly, I would still ask that you do it within 2 weeks of your meeting so that the new member can get into pathways and learn about it. And then the secretary, you're keeping minutes and then helping the president keep everyone accountable. So if you have your officers meeting and several of the officers say, oh, these are my action items for the next few weeks, or I want to have this done in 3 months, the secretary's notes can have those due dates, and then you can help the president just keep people accountable. But what does everyone do? Everyone. So we are all responsible for what? We're gonna get to that part. I said it several times, a lot of the officers are responsible for welcoming guests and new members to the meeting. Make sure everybody's saying hello. But that Toastmasters Promise. So here's one thing I love about Toastmasters. They give us all of the education and training we need to do everything, right? They really do. You are set up for success the second you sign up for anything in Toastmasters. The Toastmasters Promise is an example of that. How many of you know where the Toastmasters Promise is? Yes, it's on the membership application. One thing that you can do is have your new members, as they get brought into the club, as you vote them in, and they come into the room and you clap, you ask that new member, can you please read the Toastmasters Promise to everyone in the club? It's on your application. What this does is it's a statement of expectation. This is what you need to do when you're a member in our club. It's also really good reminder for your current members who maybe are slacking, right? So let's role play this a little bit. Let's see. Who would like to come up and read the Toastmasters Promise? Oh, come on up. Right, all right.
Good morning, Christine.
Good morning. You are Leilani?
Yes.
Yes. So Leilani did win the speech contest. So we are anxiously awaiting to see if she's moving on in the process. Now, if you were just brought into my club, you would read this to everybody. So this is Leilani Duckwitz. Just stand right here, stand a little closer to the microphone. Okay, and read that out loud to all of us.
Okay. As a member of Toastmasters International and my club, I promise to attend club meetings regularly, to prepare all of my projects to the best of my ability, basing them on the Toastmasters education program, to prepare for and fulfill meeting assignments, to provide fellow members with helpful, constructive evaluations to help the club maintain the positive, friendly environment necessary for all members to learn and grow. To serve my club as an officer when called upon to do so. To treat my fellow club members and our guests with respect and courtesy. To bring guests to club meetings so that they can see the benefits Toastmaster membership offers. To adhere to the guidelines and rules for all Toastmasters education and recognition programs. And lastly, to act within Toastmasters core values of integrity, respect, service, and excellence during the conduct of all Toastmaster activities.
That's so well, thank you. I wish I had a prize to give you. Thank you very
I'm done.
much.
Okay.
Yes, you are dismissed. Okay. Do you see all of those points? They touch a lot of parts of the DCP, don't they, of your syllabus? They really do. Bringing guests in, serving as a club officer when called upon to do so. So the president should not be standing here saying, come on, you guys, someone needs to do it. Right? Just when the president asks, everybody should stand up and run towards the lectern, right? I'll do it. Yeah. Don't knock people over. You might break somebody's hip. Okay. That's all I'm saying. But also, you know, fulfilling the meeting roles, all of those things, right? They're going to create that quality club. So what a great reminder every time that you have a new member, read that promise. Make sure that the members are hearing that we should be doing this. All right, so back to school. How do we get the A? Right? How many of you, every time you would look and you'd say, oh, this class, I'm gonna get that A real easy, right? And then there's other classes where you're like, this professor is crazy, but here's how I line out and create my roadmap for my A. So here in Toastmasters, you need to bring your A game every time, just like in college, right? Bring your A game every class, every club meeting, every time that you're meeting with your office or executive team, bring your A game. What does that do? So every member, remember, every meeting should be well planned because you're working the program. So every meeting well planned. Be sure to have fun. Meeting themes, fun meeting themes, parties, or even that open house. Now I want to tell you about a meeting theme. So just recently we had the National Spelling Bee. And it was happening on the night of our Pastime Pursuits club meeting. And I was the Toastmaster. The table topics master reached out to me and said, what's our theme? And I said, it's Spelling Bee. Are you with me? And she's like, yeah, okay. It was the most fun theme that we've had in a really long time because as Toastmaster and president, when I got in that Zoom room, I started telling people, today's the National Spelling Bee. Who wants to spell the word gladiolus? Okay, let's spell this word. Let's spell this word. And getting people, you know, kind of wound up, right? And then we just had this theme of spelling bee throughout. And we decided these kids are way smarter and know way more words than we do. And that's okay. But I also learned, because remember, I obsess about things, that there's an adult spelling bee that happens every year in March in Long Beach, and it's $5. So I guess I need to learn some more words and work on my spelling because I'm pretty sure I will be entering that spelling bee. Now, my other club, it's low membership. And of course, like we have some trouble with some of our meetings and agendas. Somebody says, we don't have a Toastmaster. This was this week on Tuesday. I'll be Toastmaster. And you know what? We already have a theme. It's spelling bee. Recycled it. It's a whole different group of people. So that one, the table topics master said, oh, I got this. Everybody in their question had their unique word that they had to use. Everybody had their own word of the day. How clever is that? I thought, well, now we have to use that over in Pastime Pursuits. So I'm just taking ideas from everywhere. So I want you to take those ideas. They're very fun, right? And it's not, that doesn't require a lot of work. I mean, yeah, you might need to think about some words to add for everyone to have a unique word of the day, but you can do that. That doesn't take a long, long time. So think about when I'm saying inject some fun, it doesn't have to be, we have confetti and balloons and cake every time. No, it's just these little things that you can do to create memorable moments for the club members. Also challenge all your members. My Tuesday club, occasionally we might not have a speaker and we'll decide, okay, tonight's debate night. And we don't debate serious topics because we are all friends and we want to remain friends. So we will debate, something silly like donut holes versus donuts. Okay, I mean, that can even get heated. You have to be careful. You think it's benign, it's not. But think about that can even inject some fun, right? But that's challenging. How many of us want to do a debate? I know I don't. I do not want to do a debate. Steve Itzkowitz, he raised his hand in Charlotte's session that he is in your face. So he definitely wants to debate. But think about, challenging your members to a debate. You can have evaluation of table topics. We've done that in pastime pursuits. It's very fun. You have 4 or 5 evaluators, they get 30 seconds. And it's just a way to very quickly provide some feedback to people. That's one thing that pastime pursuits is passionate about, is evaluation. So we really, really like working on that. And then of course, take advantage of the incentive programs. Again, I look at that syllabus and I'm thinking how to get the A. If I have a checklist of things I have to do by a certain day and then I get a prize, yeah, I'm there. Does anyone remember Amy Shee? Oh, every year, Amy Shee is wanting to get all of the incentives that Founders District and headquarters had to offer. And she would just go after it. And her club was very strong because of course those incentives focus on things like membership. So if you have to get a certain number of new members in by a certain date, she was on it and she did it. So that's how you get the A. I think I have a few minutes for questions. Looking at my timer, I'm on the yellow. Steve Itzkowitz has a question. He's going to get in my face. Oh, he's got suggestion. Okay.
But meeting ideas. One meeting that I did a few years ago was a reverse speaker. And how we opened it up is that we actually voted for best table topic, best evaluator, best speaker based on reputation. If every club has someone that's a great speaker, great evaluator, great table topic.
Yes.
So we voted to begin with. It's like, what's going on?
So Steve is recommending a reverse meeting. I've done a reverse meeting. He started his reverse meeting by having voting for best speaker, table topics, and best evaluator. That's one way, or that's a great way to do it. Also, in a reverse meeting, evaluators go first. So the evaluator, depending on how nice they are, they might say things like, when you play with your hair, it's really distracting. Well, shoot, now a speaker, I have to play with my hair a bunch during this speech, right? And so it's just these little things. And of course, as a speaker, it's kind of going to trip you up. But guess what? Things when we're speaking trip us up all the time. This morning, Charlotte's running her workshop. And what's happening outside at the church? What happens at the church every Saturday morning? Lawn mowing. Yes. The landscaping. So that can create a distraction. I see John Hardowitz has his hand up in the Zoom room. John?
This may not be the right venue, but any suggestions about how to get corporate clubs involved in education goals where they may only have like 12 speeches a year or something?
Yeah, corporate clubs, they can be a little bit of a different animal. And sometimes, you can work with the club president and you have to gauge what the president is like, because they might be part of the problem. But if the president is in agreement with you that we need to get some more education goals, you can tell the club president as, area or division director, I can come in quarterly and recognize the members in this club who completed things. And you can create that as an event where other people can come, and you can invite the executives or maybe your HR director to that meeting so that they can see the employees getting that recognition. And the second you say you're going to do something like that, and if you start doing it, the employees actually might start to rise because now they know that people outside the club that are important in the corporation are paying attention. That's one thing. I think Kathy maybe had another suggestion. She raised her hand.
Oh, just the recognition by the upper executives of the company when I got my DTM. the first one, they recognized me publicly in an all-hands meeting. The CEO of the company said, and we have someone here that achieved a very important award, and started talking on and on about it. And I'm like, oh no.
Oh, no, yeah.
I was so and it was really awesome.
So for those of you on Zoom, Kathy mentioned that when she got her DTM, the CEO of the company of Broadcom, so that's a big company, had an all hands meeting and he recognized Kathy at that all hands. You know what it does? It does take a special touch though. You have to make sure that you let the CEO know that this important event has happened. So when it happens, you need to make sure that you're advertising that to the right person and maybe putting the bug in their ear that this would be a good thing to talk about at the meeting to inspire others to do the same. Any other questions? Yes, David.
When you have a guest come to your club, that's not the first time they've thought about your club. They've had to search the internet, find you, and come. They're there on purpose. They want to be there. And all they need is to be invited to become a part of you, a part of your membership. So whenever a guest comes, always invite them to join the club.
That's true. David makes a great point for those of you on Zoom, that when a guest comes to your meeting, they've already done a lot of background work and thought about your club more than once, right? They had to think about joining Toastmasters, then they had to, find a club, they investigated your club, they decided that worked for their time frame and for their location, and then they came. So it is doubly, triple important, right? To make sure that you invite them to join. Remember, we're going to always invite people to join our club or join our next meeting if they were maybe a little cuckoo. Okay. Any other? I have a few minutes. So Stephen, was there anything online? Anyone? Oh, Andrew Grainer has his hand up. Go ahead, Andrew, unmute yourself.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we have 1 minute, Andrew.
Awesome. Real quick, I just had a suggestion that it was passed on to me not long ago. I think when people are hesitant in table topics masters should say, not instead of, well, would you like to participate? Say, you can either participate in a question or tell us about yourself. So that they have an opportunity to speak, but are not put on the spot so much.
That is a great idea.
Most people love to talk about themselves. Even introverts will talk about themselves.
That's true. And that is, yourself the best, right? So if someone gives you 30 seconds, you can give a little nutshell preview of Icebreaker. That's great. Okay, well, Brenda told me I don't have any more time. I want to thank you. It's been a sincere pleasure to give you some ideas about club quality. I believe that Brenda's going to come up and talk about that feedback sheet again. My contact information is there on the screen or in your handout. If you have questions, you can reach out to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Christine. So you have time, 5 minutes before the next session starts coming in already. But please fill out the feedback form. If you snuck in at the very end, we ran out of handouts, but they will be available electronically, so no fear. Christine will share stuff with you. And Christine, you did such a fabulous job this morning. I have this lovely award of certificate of appreciation.
Suitable for framing.
Suitable for framing. We worked extremely hard with the colors and everything. But Christine could entertain a question or two if it's quick.
I think we have to log out of the Zoom room though, so that we can get into the next one, but I'm here in the room and I'll be available. And of course, please email me. Thank you so much. Thank you, David Moore, for being our tech master.